Welcome back. This is the last box of moving forward. One of the things I get to be asked a lot about, even the last three blocks before, is Faris, what about the cash flow? What about all this stuff? It's part of what you have. We covered it also in part of what what's you and around you. You really have to think about all these things as a whole. This is why we have coaching with one-on-one, where we could basically take some of these components and do it with you. But in the meantime, you could do this on your own. So sure, cash is part of what your resource that you have, and you should think about it. So I encourage you to go back and write it down as part of the resource that you have and what you could do to leverage it, what you could do to offer it. Obviously, you don't want to offer cash, but you could offer new product or service with the cash that you had to leverage, and then think about what you could pilot with it. One example I will say is somebody had some cash reserved in their account, and they were able, because of it, to leverage it to get more cash to keep their business going. And a lot of times in these tough times, you do need more, I'm going to call it runway, cash flow for runway, because more cash might not be coming as fast as you want it to be, and you want to make sure that you're able to afford what you have so you can offer new product or services without losing that. So this is important. So let's talk about the moving forward. How do you move forward with all this? Now that you have done all these three blocks, you got to move forward. And the moving forward is really simple. There are 5 components in the moving forward, and you got to be able to think through them. And then again, you could do this all at once. You could take them one at a time. I'm going to break them down to you in 5 steps. So you could move forward in 5 different ways. The first step that you want to do is operation management. Things have changed, things have shifted. So you have to learn how to manage the new operation. I used this example before, and many of you liked it, and I'm going to share it with you one more time. We had a customer or an entrepreneur that basically was running an office, and all the people showed up at the same time. And because they were shut down, he came up with a very creative way. Each person could come to the office one at a time only, do their work, leave the next person comes in. Before the next person comes in, he hired a cleaning company to come clean it up and make sure that it's sanitized, so there's nothing there to worry about. And then about 15 to 30 minutes later, another person came for another shift. That's really another whole process of operation management. They used to do 1 shift, now there are 3 shifts. And the shift used to be 8 hours, now the shifts are only 3 hours or 4 hours. So you want to think through, what can you do to manage your operation? That's really key. Managing the people that you have, making sure that they're also safe and secure. That's really key. We're going to talk about that in a second. So making sure that you understand there will be operation changes. I can tell you this much. In my business, I used to travel all over the world to speak or to present or to work with entrepreneurs or leaders in the community launching entrepreneurs programs. And that changed, right? Came March, shut down. You can't fly anywhere. So I could either say I can't do anything till I go back in person, or I could move to this camera right here that I'm talking to you through. And we started immediately that Monday after the shutdown on Friday, offering programs that following week, right away through the means of technology. So you got to leverage what you have, right? Because the knowledge is still there. They've changed the operation of how it's done. New costs might be accumulative, or new costs might occur, but you need to learn how to move forward with what you have. So manage your operation. The next thing I want to talk about is safety and security. Because we're talking about resiliency, we're talking about something is going on, you have to make sure that your people are safe and secure. In this scenario, COVID, but the other scenario could have been, a wartime. Another scenario could have been, which I lived through before, right? Other scenario could have been, financial crisis. So people may be wanting to take advantage of other people. Financially, you have to be careful with all that stuff. You got to make sure that your people are safe and secure. And it's not about you feeling safe and secure only, it's they have to feel safe and secure. So you might get someone who say, I can't come to the office because I don't feel safe. Well, you have to think about, what can you have them do from home? Can you have them do anything? Think about how you could leverage their skills, right? Maybe they could do something different for you. Maybe they are willing to do something different for you than what they used to do. So think about that. Safety and security becomes really important when you are being resilient, all right? That's the second step. The third thing I'm going to talk about is time management. You got to be really, really, really sharp about managing your time, because now time is fluid. I used to teach people, we used to go to work, now we live at work, right? Because you're at home and you work from home. Now, some people might have done this before and they're comfortable doing it. Well, now, but no longer going around, that could change things. You got to learn how to manage your time. You got to learn how to manage your staff time. You're going to learn how to manage the work that you have to go through, the load work that you have as well. All of these things has to be managed through time management. So that's the third component. Make sure that you learn how to manage your time differently than what you used to do. So setting up times for yourself to do what you need to do. One example I used earlier, if you remember through me and around me, said maybe that room used to be an office, now you convert it to a bedroom because you need some place to rest, or you need some place to do something different than just work. You have to think through that. I can't tell you what to do. I'm going to share with you what you could be thinking about for you to do what you need to do. The last two things are really simple. It's communications both internally and externally. Making sure that your staff and your partners and your team is well communicated with becomes a key. It's not an easy task because now, remember, everyone's pulling you from different directions and everybody thinks that you may have more time because you're not driving somewhere. For those who I work with, leaders and entrepreneurs, specifically in underserved or underrepresented groups, it's the opposite happened. In these kinds of times, more pressure is on them to perform more, so they're working more hours, they're performing more. So therefore, while somebody might be thinking you have more time, we all know that you have less time because you're now working more. Most people were working maybe 8 to 10 to 12 hours a day. Now they're working 10 to 12 to 14 to 16 hour days. So you just make sure that you understand that you're communicating as much as you can with your team, so therefore they know what's happening. The other thing is communicate with the external. And we saw many wonderful examples of that. Some of the restaurants are putting pictures of their pizza, going to the oven and saying the only time that this pizza will touch anyone's hand is when it touches your hands. And then they'll have few pictures, like 3 to 4, showing it going to the oven with a little handle so no one's touching it, coming out with a handle again, no one's touching it. And we all know it's 350-degree oven, so anything would have been there would have been killed if there was any bacteria. And then someone's cutting it with with another tool, so no one's touching it yet. It gets boxed up and it gets handed to you, and it shows someone eating the pizza and enjoying. Use that kind of knowledge to apply it to your business. Now I'm using this just during this scenario, but this could be applied to your car, this could be applied to car washes, this could be applied to service industries. Show that you are taking these things seriously. Now I'm using this as an example for COVID, but this could have been an example for during wars, could have been an example during economic tough times. How do you make sure that people feel communicated to and that you understand where they're coming from or what they're facing? So do it both internally and externally. That's it. You've gone through the process. Now I know we might have think, Faris, this has been like an hour or so. This needs a lot more. And the truth, it does. And this is why we've broken up this canvas for you in 5 weeks. Because you do need the time to process the information. You do need the time to exchange the information with a coach. Of course, we'd love to have you to work with you in a coaching session, but in the same time, you could just do this on your own. Maybe you could create your own network to have this discussion with you. Join any of our groups and do the same. Follow these processes, follow this canvas, and you could exactly learn how the resilient entrepreneurs keep going. And you might have done this before yourself, not knowing and not being aware. And hopefully this will put a framework for you and a reference for you to keep going. Thanks for joining us, and see you soon.